Talking Shirts is presented in partnership with White Oak Cottage. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 131 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from Hull Car Shirts, and today we are going to take a look at this 2008 home shirt that was worn in Stanley Jean's Testimonial by Garret Crossman. Now, I've seen these shirts before. I know a few collectors who have them within their collection, and it's something that's kind of eluded me for quite a while. However, at the back end of 2024, I got a message on Facebook off a young man who actually had one of these in his collection and was interested to know if I would be wanting to buy it. Now, I wasn't going to say no, it's something that I've not got. So anybody that reaches out to me, I don't always purchase because obviously there's only so far that money can go. But when it's something that I haven't got, I will always be interested. And obviously in this one, I really was. So yeah, thank you very much for that, James. I really appreciate you doing that. So yeah, this 2008 home shirt. So this one, it was just worn in the one game. It won't have been used anywhere else because of the game detail that's been embroidered to the front of the shirt. That would mean that would just kind of be a one and done. I'm assuming that at some point the shirt has been framed because there's quite a few little holes in it where you can see that it has been stapled somewhere. But again, that seems to be quite common because the ones of these that I have seen have naturally been framed. So that does kind of make some sense to me. If it was framed when it came into my possession, I would have unframed it, but it was already unframed. So I suppose that saved me a job. But yeah, this one, as I've said, it was used in Stanley Jean's Testimonial. That game took place at Craven Park on the 27th of January in 2008. And this one was worn by Garret Crossman. So like I say, we'll talk a little bit about him in part two. But this shirt was kind of the last of the really sort of heavy cotton sort of playing shirts. It's quite thick. Everything that's on it is kind of like embroidered and stitched to the shirt. They certainly didn't cut any corners in terms of the quality. When you look at the shirt, we have got like a grandad style collar with these 3 lines of reinforced stitching. That tells you that this shirt is a player specification shirt. So if you've got one of these in the home or the away and it's got the 6 lines, 3 on either side of reinforced stitching, that is the major difference between a playing shirt and a replica in the 2008 style. We have got Lloyd's TSB on either side, which has been heat applied. We've got Parasol, Carlotti, Hull KR Club crest with Pride of East Hull underneath. All of those have been embroidered into the shirt, as has the Lloyd TSB sponsor with their logo. And then underneath we have got Stanley Jean Testimonial, Hull KR versus Castleford Tigers, January the 27th, 2008. And below that we have also got an embroidered Papua New Guinea flag, which is absolutely incredible. The attention to detail on that is fantastic. It's interesting of its placement because sometimes you might have thought that the club may have put it up here, and on some occasions we've seen it quite low. Elliot Minchella had 100 games embroidered into his shirt quite low for the 2024 Grand Final when they had the embroidery quite high up on the chest to break it up. So there is different ways of applying that to a shirt, but these was all consistently sort of around the belly button area of the shirt. But like I say, it's been done in a blue embroidery, and then obviously the Papua New Guinea flag has been embroidered in the correct colourway for the nation flag, which is absolutely sensational really. And then just under here you can see that it's been signed by Garret Crossman. The red piping, again, that's been added to the shirt all the way around. These side panels, literally everything has just been kind of like embroidered and stitched together, which is incredible really, considering the amount of just time and sort of quality that has gone sort of into the shirt. We will just have a look at one of the sleeves because on this shirt they are identical. So we have got a white sleeve and then we've kind of got the 2-stripe coming down. Naturally you can either do a 2-stripe or a 4-stripe because a certain brand manufacturer has the copyright images rights to 3 stripes. So unless you've got that brand like we've had in the past with Adidas, you do kind of have to mock it up a little bit. And obviously on this occasion they went with the 2-stripe. We've got a parasol patch that has been embroidered, stitched to the shirt around the edges there. And then we've got the heat applied competition patches. It probably wasn't necessary for these to be applied for that pre-season friendly, but it's quite nice that they did that anyway. These felt patches, because they go over the twin stripe, it has kind of sort of formed around it a little bit. These haven't torn, but quite commonly, as I have with a couple of my others, they do tend to rip. But this one hasn't, purely by the fact that it was only used the once. And as I was mentioning a moment ago, you can just see up here a couple of staple marks where it's been pinned or stapled at some point, which is a shame that it has those holes. But look, at the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers. You know, this was a shirt that was worn in a pre-season game sort of 17 years ago. It was used once. There was probably only 20 of them manufactured. It's not really something you can be picky over. So yeah, quite content with those holes, even though they are a little bit unsightly. So that's everything for part 1 of episode number 131 of Talking Shirts. Here is a quick word from our sponsor.
White Oak Cottage is a 2-bedroom luxury holiday cottage set in the stunning Lincolnshire Wolds. It has 2 ensuite bedrooms, a hot tub, wood burner, Wi-Fi, electric vehicle charger, and is pet friendly. It is ideally situated in the Wolds, yet only 15 miles from the coast and 25 miles from the historic city of Lincoln. For more information, visit whiteoakcottage.co.uk.
Welcome back to episode number 131 of Talking Shirts. Before the break, we was talking our way around this 2008 home shirt that was worn by Garret Crossman in Stanley Jean's Testimonial game in January of 2008, and we are now going to take a look at the reverse. So on the back of this shirt here, as you can see, is all plain white. We've got the Lloyd's TSB sponsor. That has been embroidered into the back of the shirt. We've said before, it's too big, it should be higher. It is what it is, I suppose. That led then to the squad number being applied to the back with the name underneath. We've covered previously, I've got one of James Webster's shirts where it has the number with the name underneath that was worn on the road against Leeds Rhinos in round 1 of the 2008 season. Obviously that game came a few weeks after this one, so it makes sense that the numbers would be applied above the name on this shirt as well. And then just underneath we've got another signature of Garret Crossman. I suppose if it was framed, whichever way you framed it, you've got the opportunity to display a signature of the player that wore it as well. For me, I probably would have just had it signed on the back and not on the front. But again, as I said in part 1, beggars can't be choosers. Sometimes it's just a case of what you get given. Again, this letter and number set for me is absolutely brilliant. Definitely one of my favourite, if not my favourite, styled of name and number sets that is featured on the reverse of Hull KR shirts over the years. Absolutely no complaints about that. Number very central, name is very central. The letters, they're really, really big. I think you can just about see it from where you are watching on the screen there, that you can actually see the name Crossman. But obviously if it was more fitted and it went all the way around, you might not be able to see it all, which is sort of one downside to the sort of the size of the letters. This came before my time kind of following Rover, so I hadn't really heard or known a great deal about Garret Crossman, so I did do a little bit of research on him. And when I kind of looked into him, I found out that he was formerly of the Penrith Panthers and Melbourne Storm. Obviously an Australian, played across there in the NRL. He then came across to Hull KR, where he did just spend 1 season with us. He played 29 games within that 1 season, just missed 1 Super League game, which was away against Wigan Warriors. Obviously the game that he played in Stanley Jean's Testimonial doesn't count as an official game, so that one doesn't count onto his tally of 29. But like I say, he did just miss that 1 game. It was kind of a bit of a mixed career in terms of his time at Rovers, whether he started, whether he came off the bench. He had 10 starts to his name with 19 further appearances off the bench. And he scored his one and only try for Hull KR against Workington in the Challenge Cup. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of research that I've done on Garret. You guys might have sort of better memories or better stories. If you do, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm always open to learning things about players that I'm not fully aware of. So yeah, anything like that is more than welcome. So yeah, feel free to reach out on that one. So yeah, that's been episode 131. Really pleased now to add a shirt that was worn in Stanley Jean's Testimonial game to my collection. It's kind of another sort of, it wasn't something that I'd classed as a gap, purely because it was a pre-season game. It's not an official game, but the fact that there were sort of standard home shirts with one sort of slight tweak, I'm all for. Other players in the past have had testimonial games where they've designed their own shirt and it's not been an official sort of club release, and I've generally tried to kind of stay away from those. However, when it comes to anything like this where it's a sort of a normal season shirt worn in a pre-season friendly with a uniquity, then I would probably look to add something like that within my collection. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please feel free to check back in another couple of weeks where we'll be back with the 2010 home shirt in episode number 132. And we're going to talk about a player who didn't actually make an appearance in 2010 because he didn't make his debut until 2011. So yeah, I'll leave that one with you. See if you can have a little bit of a guess who you think it might be. Shirt issued in 2010 but didn't debut until 2011. Good quiz question. All the best, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.